who is coming to Killarney on a part of her European tour in June. And today we're going to talk about Unhiding Your Ideas, which is a one-day workshop she is holding in Killarney. And hello, Lisa.
Hi, Melanie. How are you doing?
I'm
Hi.
doing good. I'm so excited that you're coming. I'm just like, I'm not even sure. I kind of have a lot of questions to ask. So can I ask you a question
Yeah,
about Unhiding Ideas?
go
Cool.
for it.
I love this topic and it makes me really excited purely because I walk around with all these things going on in here and nothing coming into the world. And I don't always have words for them. So I want to ask you maybe what is an idea and what is unhiding it?
Oh, good questions, both of them. What is an idea? You know, it's so weird. I was thinking about that yesterday. I was actually thinking about it, and I'm going, I wonder what that is. And now you're asking to me, and I'm like, oh God, I never got to an answer. So, look, in a way, I would say an idea is a life form. You know, it's something that you can bring to life. And an idea, you know, the thing about ideas is they come and they go. And I read this really funny article the other day with this guy who had this really brilliant idea about basically taking an entire movie and doing a time lapse on it so it would become one picture. And he had this idea for like 12 years or something, and he never put it into the world. And then he wrote this article on Fast Company about how annoyed he was that someone else did it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so funny, because people always want to hold on to their ideas and they're mine and no one else can have them. And I'm going to, and literally people hide their ideas in that sense of they don't want anyone else to know the idea because they're just going to hold on to it until they're ready in 20 years' time to create it. And the funny thing about ideas is they don't work like that. You know, they actually, ideas are to create something greater in the world. That's what they're for, you know. And it's really funny when I see people hiding ideas, because I'm like, you know, like oh my gosh, I once went on this date with this guy. Now it's funny. It's like all these stories are coming into my head now that you're asking me this. I remember going on this date with this guy once, and he had this little idea book. And it was years and years ago, and he had the tiniest writing in the world. And he didn't want to show me the book, but he wanted my ideas about the ideas. And it was so hilarious because he was paranoid I would steal his ideas. And I'm like, dude, I got so many of my own. I really don't need yours. And I would say I was paranoid in a few ways, actually. That was like the first and last time we ever saw each other. But it was really interesting to watch the energy he was with his ideas, because it was this really strange, hidden kind of, no one else can have these ideas and I will kill you if you take my ideas. And it's like, I would like to actually have everyone play with their ideas and actually share their ideas with other people so that you can bring something even greater into the world. Like every single thing that I've created over the last few years that I have had the joy and the pleasure of creating with other people has always made that idea greater.
Mhm.
You know? And I think one of the things we're really cool at is pretending that we are the brilliance of our idea, when actually there's this whole like world that our ideas can invite us into. And what I would love to do with that class is to start actually allowing people to see the possibilities inherent in their ideas and the different ways that you can bring them into the world that actually allow the entire world to be a more wonderful place.
Yeah, because I met you last year and I did a one-day workshop. And when I came to your workshop, I felt like ideas were like, we'll call it an energy or a feeling
Yeah.
inside, you know, and I
Yeah.
had no words and I really genuinely had no idea where it was going to go. And you just have this way that you don't tell me, but you assist me in kind of seeing maybe the possibilities of ideas and ways to play. And the last year for me, like the way I put it is I always knew there was something different.
Yeah.
And that's what excites me about the way you work. It's not a list or a go-to. It's quite, and this workshop's going to be quite hands-on. So like what can people, like if you don't have an idea, what can people bring? And if you do have an idea, what can people bring?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, if you think you don't have an idea, I would ask, is that really true? Because
Mm.
I've never met a person that didn't have an idea. You might have to dig around a bit to find it, but everyone has ideas, right?
Yeah.
And so, what I'm going to say for the people who think they don't have an idea is, well, what if you do? And what if you would come and just be willing to be present with all of the different possibilities and all of the different adventures that we go on during that day to see what can actually show up? Because I will talk about creating ideas in the sense of actually having the ideas come to you. Because for me, so much of the time, ideas come from living your life. Ideas come from actually being willing to be curious. Like there's so many places ideas come from, and so I would say if you've got, well, you think you've got no ideas. I really can't say if you've got no ideas because it's just not true. Um, then come anyway if you'd like to have ideas, because we can find all sorts of different ways which you can then explore to begin to create things that would actually be fun for you. So that's the first part of it. Um, the second part where you said, well, if what would you bring? And so if for those people to bring, they just need to bring themselves a sense of adventure and some curiosity. And in fact,
Hmm.
everyone needs to bring that, because for me, one of the biggest things that creates ideas is curiosity, you know, and that awareness of energy that you were talking about. And I want to go back to that in a minute. Um, so let's see. So then if you do have ideas and you'd like to bring them into the world, what I would do is come with whatever you need for creation of the ideas, because we will create, and I know I'll bring some things as well for creation so that we've got this sort of little playground going on. But also, the biggest thing I think, because we're talking about unhiding your ideas, so I would like you just to bring an openness and a willingness to seeing your ideas differently to maybe how you've seen them before. Because what I see with people is they get a very defined idea of how their idea has to be in the world, how it has to show up. And I've seen people be so stuck on that they can't see the bigger thing that's unfolding around them. And so, literally, I'd say it's also bring a sense of adventurous and curiosity. And of course, physically, you can bring, you can bring computers, you can bring all your different toys that you create with, paints and all those different things. Bring whatever you want. And we will play with all of it, because what I'm aware of is that ideas evolve in all kinds of different ways. Sometimes they evolve by talking about them with someone. Sometimes they evolve by going for a walk. They come in, the evolution of them, comes in so many different ways. And so I'm like, ask all the things in your house, which ones of you would like to come with me? This is sometimes what I do. I go to the beach and I literally like pack this bag of the weirdest assortment of things. And I'm like, well, what wants to come to the beach with me? And certain things will. And they kind of just contribute an energy that allows the ideas to evolve. Because a lot of my ideas will come either in the shower, at the beach, going for a walk in the bush, things like that. And it doesn't mean they can't come in what we're going to play with on that day, because we're actually going to work a lot with the unhiding side.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because unhiding, one of the first things is being willing to talk about your idea with someone else,
Hmm.
being willing to actually see what you know about it and, represent it in some way in the physical. Because, Melanie, what you were saying about, so much of what you have comes as energy, it does for me as well. But there's always this moment in time when it will show itself to me in a more tangible sense.
Mm.
And so we'll talk about that. And your ideas can be anything. It can be a book, it can be literally anything in the world you would like to create. I don't have a point of view about that, because creating is creating. And my sense of it is, it's literally like, where can we go with all of this that would allow those energies? And it's funny when you say energies, one thing I'm always aware of is, even if I don't know exactly what the energy is, I will ask it to become present in the more tangible ideas that I've got.
Cool.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
in doing that, something magical shows up every time.
That's what I love. I love that it's not very, there's no particular straight guidelines to unhiding, to how the idea shows up in the world and to what you do with it next, you know. And I'd imagine everybody's going to be different and bring something, you know, different every time. And it fascinates me because we just said last year when I met you, I might have thought I mightn't have had a whole lot going on, and then I got so much, and now I'm not back at square one, but I'm in a space now where I'm like, oh, you know, what's next? I'm starting to, I suppose, gain more confidence in the way I uniquely create my way. And like, I find it really exciting. This is like, I kind of be jumping, like, it just, sometimes I get lost for words. It's like, this is what I love, you know what I mean? And it was like, when I realized that it wasn't, I suppose it was like something inside me I knew was possible. And then when I started doing the workshop, I was like, oh, actually, no, this is actually really real. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of like really exciting. And it's kind of a little, you know, sometimes it's like, oh, Melanie, you're a little sad. But it's like, I love that, you know, what would you say? Like, you can't even predict where it'll go next.
No. And this is the thing, because I love watching people try and create their ideas in a really linear way, you know, and I've done it too. So, you know, no judgment at all. But of course, the more we try and work out our ideas, the less fun they become and the less interesting they become to other people. Whereas when you just literally play with them and explore with them and have adventures with them, all of a sudden it turns into something and you're like, what, you're that? You know? And there's this whole other energy that becomes available for expanding it out into the world. And, you know, I do really want to play with not only unhiding them from, so there's a whole lot of layers of unhiding, right? There's unhiding the ideas from yourself. So sort of excavating them, you know, in some way from all the hidden places that we've put them. And then there's the unhiding them from other people and the being willing to talk about them and maybe look at having collaborative adventures or co-creative adventures where other people can contribute to your ideas. And then, of course, there's the unhiding those things from the world and actually putting them out into the world in a way where other people can receive them and enjoy them and explore them as well. And I love playing with all three of those elements because they're all very different in the way they come together. They're really each layer gives you different information and different possibilities, and how far you're willing to go with each layer actually kind of is what creates what you actually end up with.
Yeah. I love it. I'm just so looking forward to it. It's like it's like the next step for me in an adventure because there's never a dull moment. That's all I'm going to say. There's just never a dull moment in these workshops. I just find them super exciting, and it is that kind of sometimes it's the spontaneity of it. Something pops and you didn't even realize it was there before, and I just find like ideas used to be just my imagination, and now to be able to play with it and to actually put stuff out into the world, I just find it super exciting.
Well, it is. Because, like, if imagine a world where no one had any ideas.
Very grey.
It'd be very grey, you know?
Yeah.
And literally what I look at is, well, wow, you know, what if one idea sparks another idea, and it actually sort of unrolls. And I love that we're doing this topic in Ireland, actually, because, you know, to me, Ireland is such a magic place, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's got this whole energy of magic just threaded through it. And to be able to like run this in Ireland, I'm kind of like, oh, I wonder what's going to show up that I don't even know about. So, yeah. And, you know, for people who are like listening, so yes, it's going to be a very unstructured workshop. You know, I never really create the structure beforehand because I love to be really present with the energy of what's possible. And I love to actually go with those moments where there's a spark and actually see where those sparks can go and what they can light up and what they can create. So if you have to be willing for an adventure to come along. And when I say that, it's not scary. It's just playful and fun. And at the end of it, you should come to some space where there's something so different in your world that you can begin to create, or you have started to create, what it is you would like to bring into the world. and it's not one thing. It never is one thing. We love looking for the one thing, you know, that actually people, they always want to say to me, well, what's the one thing I can do in the world? I'm like, what if it's the 100 things or 1,000 things you can do in the world, you know? So it really is an adventure.
Yeah.
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 So
I'm looking forward to it now.
yes, oh, me too. I'm like, you know, whenever I do one of these videos for a class, I always want to go, but I want to do it now. So what I'm going to say to people is,
Yeah.
you know, if you've got a question or you'd like to know anything more, you can check out all the information at creativitylabeurope.com, because I'm doing a whole Europe tour, which is going to be really fun. And this class is on the 19th of June, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a Sunday. So, you know, it doesn't matter whether your ideas for work or for play or for art or whatever. It actually doesn't matter. It's like, bring it along and let's see what we can do with it to make it even more amazing than it already is. And Melanie is one of the hosts, as is Geraldine Wurster. And yeah, so basically you can ask those guys questions or you can write to me, whatever. And yeah, we'd love to see you on the 19th in Killarney.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. So thank you. All right,
Thanks,
Miss
Lisa.
Melanie. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So this is Lisa and Melanie.
Yeah.
We're back. And
Like
it's really,
outtakes.
it is outtakes because, of course, there's always the
We can't get
conversation.
enough.
There's the conversation after the conversation. And what Melanie was just saying to me was that, like, the way she's been creating in this last year since she came to Creativity Lab is quite inexplicable to a lot of people because it doesn't follow a linear model. And I just thought it would be a fun thing to talk about. So Melanie, now I'm just going to ask questions of you, right? So what's different about before you went to Creativity Lab last year and this year, like in the year that's just gone? So what was your creating like before and what has it been like in this last year?
Well, before Creativity Lab, it was just so much judgment that I couldn't create because I just couldn't seem to do what everybody else was doing. And then I had written myself off. And I remember when you were coming, it just popped. I went, oh, I'm so going to that, even though I did kind of go to myself, but I don't have, and I know you don't strictly deal with business, but I was like, oh, I don't have a business or an idea and I really don't know what I want to do. But anyway, I went, and it kind of lightened my world. Just because I got a stronger sense of my strengths. And I think sometimes we think, like, you know, the straight thinking, the ticking the boxes kind of stuff. And I started to realize that doesn't matter, because if you're just absolutely awesome at something, and I still can't exactly say what I'm awesome at, and one way it's kind of irrelevant. Do you know what I mean? I'm just willing to keep going and to come back to Creativity Lab on hiding your ideas and creating your future and all these other classes. I always get more of a sense. And sometimes I think we look for the answer, but for me, it just keeps growing and expanding. And it just started with, it literally just, once I did the class, I kind of got a bit of fire. I couldn't tell you where I was going. I just got excited and stuff started popping up. I just started choosing things. Somebody'd say, oh, I need some help with this. And I'd be like, oh, I'll give you a hand with that. And it all would lead me into something else. And like, it started leading me down things where you classically never would have put me. Like, I'm not very, like, I laugh when I do videos because I tend to bop around a lot, but now I'm kind of over it. Like, before I would have said I can't do it because I used to be able to speak at all in public. I would choke up. I would just be in the absolute horrors. And I'm kind of at a stage now where I don't care a whole lot. It's kind of like, okay, maybe in the future I might calm down a small bit. But if I get excited, I'm just excited. I've actually stopped holding myself back. It's become irrelevant. Do you know what I mean? I know how to behave in public. You know, it's not like I let myself out of the bank, jumping around, you know, the screen. But it's like, if there's excitement in me, I'm just going to let it out. And it's like, to hell with it. And it'll create something. It might even just create an awareness. And sometimes it's just like having an ease with something that you either stopped or didn't allow yourself to have before. And like, it's really funny because growing up, I had stuff like, you know, I was extremely shy, found it very hard to speak. I had difficulty with English, and a teacher ended up getting a really good teacher that helped me, but I always found like reading and writing just really tricky. I had difficulty with things like business and business studies in school, and it was this horrific time. And it's funny because I talk, I now write books, I now work in business, and it's everything I thought I was never going to do, and everything people kind of like shot me down for. And that's what actually humors me, is if I sat down last year and planned what I was going to do, none of these would ever have factored in a plan. But because I allowed whatever to show up, it's showing up, and it keeps showing up, and it's showing up faster. I'm getting busier. It's kind of like, oh my God, like so many things. And it's really funny because I would say I'm not great with technology, and I rely on technology a lot now. So, I mean, everything I thought it wasn't, it was, and you can have as much or a little of it as you like. But I'm having it all. I'm going to start getting greedy and kind of say, what else can I add? What other adventures can I have? Because this is probably the one thing I'd say. Everything I thought I wasn't is the stuff that people are paying me for.
Yeah.
And that's what I find amazing. And now I have more of a sense of what choosing for me is in creating my life, because I'm not doing it by the book, or, like I still do X, Y, and Z. Like I'm a mom, I mind my son. It's not like I throw caution to the wind, but there's these things now that bring me so much joy that might make a boring job. Like I don't particularly like cooking. Might make a boring job like cooking a little bit more exciting, because there's just so much more going on for me. And it's not always work, but I am changing my work, because this way of creating is so much easier for me. Because I really don't know what I've created much in where I was, because I judged myself out, because I wouldn't be a great social connector. Like I can go out and talk to people and stuff, but I genuinely thought, because I was so chronic at that, because I was so shy, that I'd never be able to work. It's crazy. When I think of it now, it's crazy, because I've just blown all that out of the water, and that's what stuns me about the whole thing. That's genuinely what stuns me about the whole thing, is like, nothing is what it appears to be, and you can actually have fun rather than have a hard slog and judge the crap out of yourself. And you do have a way with these just way of looking at, say if you had a project that didn't work out, like you sold one book, or one person bought whatever you were selling, there's ways of asking. It's not a failure, you know what I mean? It's just not possible to fail, and you can continue. Like, it doesn't end anywhere, nothing stops. You might change direction or ask a new question, or you might actually realize that you were judging the crap out of yourself. I mean, it opens up I could talk about this all day. It opens up a whole new world. Sorry. This is from someone who is really shy.
I know. I'm just looking at that. You're almost making me cry. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going, wow. When
I've broken every rule.
I know you have. It's incredible. And when I first met you, you told me that you couldn't express yourself. And I just listened to you now, and I'm like, wow.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I didn't know how.
Yeah.
I really didn't. I didn't know how. And like, I gain more and more, like, this is my thing anyway. I love looking at stuff and just kind of having just this, when I say bigger life, I mean just more freedom in myself to stop judging myself. And the more I start looking at all that, it's like, you really, like, you get to choose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can judge yourself till the cows come home, but trust me, it's so much more fun
if you stop
not judging.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And it creates more in the world. Do you know what I mean? It makes me happy, but it makes other people around me happy too. Happiness is contagious.
It is.
It is.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So much. Thank you for actually saying all that. Because, it's funny, when I asked you, I didn't actually have the full picture of it. So I'm actually really grateful. And so now we really are going. And if you would like to come and play, Europe.com has all the info for actually Ireland, Amsterdam, London. And what else is possible? I wonder what's going to happen if I talk to you a year from now.
Oh, there's no stopping me now, Lisa.
Oh, I know. I'm kind of looking at it going, oh my gosh, she's going to be everywhere a year from now, especially as we're going Unhiding Your Ideas.
Oh.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay, thanks everyone for listening in. And okay, bye.
Thanks. Bye.